There's a feeling most men know, but rarely name. It sits beneath the surface of ordinary days, behind the routine, behind the responsibilities, behind the face they show the world. It's the sense that something is missing, that life is happening, but they're not quite in it, that they're going through motions that used to mean something, heading somewhere they never consciously chose. Most men feel lost. Not dramatically lost, not wandering the streets with nowhere to go, but existentially lost, spiritually adrift, living lives that look functional from the outside while something inside slowly starves. And the worst part? Most will never admit it, not even to themselves. The map they were given doesn't work. From childhood, men receive a script. Go to school, get the job, find the partner, buy the house, climb the ladder, achieve, provide, succeed, and happiness will follow. Most men followed that script faithfully. They did everything right, checked every box, arrived at the destinations they were told mattered, and felt nothing. Because the map was drawn by people who were also lost, handed down through generations who never questioned whether the path actually led somewhere worth going. The script doesn't account for meaning. It doesn't include purpose. It measures success in metrics that have nothing to do with fulfillment. And so men arrive at 40, 50, 60 and realize they've been walking someone else's path their entire lives. They optimized for the wrong things. Most men spend decades building security, financial security, social security, the safety of predictable days and minimal risk. And security matters, but when it becomes the only goal, when life is structured entirely around avoiding loss, something essential dies. Adventure, growth, the willingness to risk something meaningful for something more meaningful. A life optimized purely for safety becomes a life that's survived, not lived. A comfortable cage is still a cage. Wise men understand that some risks are more dangerous to avoid than to take. They abandon their inner voice. Every man has a compass inside him. Call it intuition, call it soul, call it the quiet knowing that surfaces when the noise settles. Most men stopped listening to it years ago. They were told it wasn't practical. They were mocked when they mentioned it. They learned to prioritize logic over instinct, external expectations over internal truth. And slowly, the voice got quieter until it felt like it disappeared entirely. It didn't disappear. It just stopped competing with a world that never made space for it. The wise man learns to hear it again. He creates silence. He asks questions and waits for answers that don't come from the mind. He rebuilds the connection most men severed before they realized what they were losing. They confused busyness for direction. Most lost men aren't idle. They're overwhelmed. Calendars full, inboxes overflowing, a constant state of motion that feels like progress but leads nowhere meaningful. Busyness is the perfect disguise for lostness. As long as you're doing something, you can avoid the terrifying question of whether it matters. But motion without direction is just exhaustion with extra steps. Wise men regularly stop. They audit. They ask whether the activity actually aligns with intention or whether they've just become sophisticated at staying distracted. The path out of lostness begins with stillness. Not more doing, more clarity about why you're doing it all. They never define their own success. Here's the question most men never ask. What does success actually mean to me? Not to society, not to parents, not to the culture that profits from keeping you hungry. What would a successful life look like if you designed it from the inside out? Most men can't answer because they never considered the question. They adopted definitions wholesale: wealth, status, achievement, without examining whether those things would actually fulfill them. Wise men define success on their own terms. Maybe it's time with family. Maybe it's creative work. Maybe it's adventure or service or mastery of a craft no one else values. The definition matters less than the ownership of it. A man who knows what he's aiming for can navigate any terrain. A man who doesn't will feel lost no matter where he stands. How the wise ones find their way. They don't find a map. They become the cartographer. The way out of lostness isn't following another script. It's learning to create your own. This starts with brutal honesty about what's working and what's isn't, about what brings energy and what drains it, about the life you're living versus the life you actually want. Then comes experimentation, not grand gestures, small tests, trying new paths, paying attention to what resonates, following curiosity instead of obligation for once. Then comes patience, because finding your way isn't an event, it's a process. It takes time to unlearn the false map. It takes courage to walk without guaranteed destinations. And finally, it requires faith. Not religious faith necessarily, but faith that the honest pursuit of meaning leads somewhere worth going. That the inner voice knows things the outer world doesn't. That you can trust yourself to navigate even when the terrain is unfamiliar. Most men won't do this work. They'll keep following broken maps. They'll keep optimizing for metrics that don't matter. They'll keep filling silence with noise so they don't have to hear the question they're afraid to answer. But you're still here. That means something in you is ready. Ready to stop following, ready to start defining, ready to become the author of a life that actually fits. The feeling of lostness isn't a flaw, it's an invitation. An invitation to stop, to listen, and to finally ask what you actually want and have the courage to pursue it. Most men ignore the invitation. The wise ones accept it. Which one will you be?